Hi, welcome to the Chelsea Skidmore Show. I'm here today with my guest, actor, writer, political commentator, Ben Stein.
Economist, lawyer.
Keep going.
Teacher, expert witness in complex securities cases, icon, cult figure.
You are very iconic and a cult figure.
And a cult figure for sure.
I love that.
Well, God bless you. I'm going to be doing cult figuring stuff during the playoffs for the World Series.
Really? What are you doing?
Well, one of the top pitchers, maybe the top pitcher, is a guy named Bueller. So they're going to have me reading Bueller when he comes up to bat. He comes up to pitch.
And you know I want you to now do Skidmore. Do people ask you to do that every day?
Every day that I'm out of the house. If I'm just home all day, nobody asks me. But if I'm at the airport, for example, dozens of people will ask me.
And they make a video of you doing it with them?
Not always, but often.
Is that the most thing that you're asked to do?
Yes. Well, sometimes dry eyes, red eyes, itchy, watery eyes, clear eyes. I did that, ran for 16 years.
I remember that growing up.
Yeah, that was a big, big thing.
You must have gotten a lot of residual checks from that.
I did, and I missed them very, very much.
Were you going to say that changed your life?
Well, money changes a lot of things. I mean, I had a lot of different sources of income, but that was a very, very, very good one.
Yeah, there was a new commercial every 16 years or one?
No, there would be one maybe every 3 years, and but they would just keep running them and paying me the residuals, and it was just fabulous. It was just absolutely fabulous. Just really, really great.
Yeah, when I think of Ben Stein, I think of Ferris, Bueller, and Clear Eyes. Clear
Eyes was a gift from God. I only got paid $360 for doing Ferris Bueller, but I would say it has made millions for me.
Yeah.
Millions.
So from like residual jobs?
No, for being hired to do things like even now I get hired to do speeches, even if they're about the economy, they want me to talk about Ferris Bueller too.
Do they really?
Oh, yes.
That's so funny. I wonder why that is. Just because everyone loves it.
It's a gigantically important scene in the history of comedy. A long time ago, some famous magazine like Entertainment Weekly or not Sun Magazine, that's a TV show, some famous magazine did a poll of the 50 most famous scenes in movie comedy, and it was one of them.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really famous scene.
Is this a character, a deadpan, monotonous kind of voice that you do? Is that, like, in those two roles, is that a character that you've kind of put on, or is that just you being you?
That's just me. I have never had any acting classes, never had any training in being an actor, and I still have done training in being an actor. Just play myself, that's all.
Do you put on the deadpan, or is it just...
No, it's the real me. I mean, sometimes I will exaggerate it, but it's mostly the real me.
I'm dying to know the story about how Ferris Bueller came to be.
Well, it's a very interesting story because it starts with Richard Nixon. I was a speechwriter for Richard Nixon, and one of the other speechwriters was a very, 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 very famous, smart guy named William Safire, who also became a columnist for the New York Times. And he had me over at his house once, and he introduced me to his college roommate who was a high executive of Warner Brothers. And I became friends with him, and I pitched him an idea for a TV movie which would be a sequel to the very, very famous teen classic movie Rebel Without a Cause. And he assigned me to work with a young executive there, and that young executive introduced me to an executive at Universal named Michael Chinich, who was head of casting, among many other things at Universal. And he said, "You're hilarious, let me put you in a movie."
Just like that?
Yes, and then he put me in a movie, it went nowhere, called The Wildlife. It was a sequel to Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Huh.
And then he left and he became head of the John Hughes Company, and he introduced me to John Hughes. And
my God.
John and I got to be good friends because John and I are among the only Republicans in Hollywood. Of course, he's no longer living, so now it's just me. And so he asked me if I would take the role. Adams, Adamley, Adamowski, Bueller. And so I did that, and the people on the stage just went crazy with laughter. I still don't understand why exactly. I still do not understand why. So John Hughes asked me to do that again and also to improvise a scene as if I were really teaching economics. I did that about the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, which is extremely similar to what's going on with the tariff struggles now between Trump and the Chinese and various other people. And then, next thing I knew, I was famous, and I worked quite steadily after that for a very long time. And then I got a quiz show, and then I had a talk show, and I was a judge on CBS, the CBS version of Star Search. It was all great stuff. It was just incredible fun. I've been in over 30 movies, infinite numbers of TV shows.
How did When Ben Stein's Money start?
My dear friend Al Burton, who's probably the smartest person I've ever met in my life, had an idea for a show in which a celebrity would play against various contestants, and if the celebrity lost, the money that he lost would be deducted from his salary. And originally they were going to have David Cassidy do it, but they decided he couldn't win enough games.
Is that because he was an alcoholic?
I have no idea whether he's an alcoholic or not. I don't know a thing about him. If he were sitting in this room right now, I wouldn't know who he was. Anyway, so they asked me if I would do it, and I did it, and it worked out well. We made almost 900 episodes.
Wow.
And I did have to play for my own money. It did have to.
Was it really your own money?
Yeah,
I was wondering that today.
If I lost, they would deduct it from my wages.
But you already had enough money at that point to not care.
Well, no, I cared. I mean, one always cares about money. I mean, look, even Warren Buffett cares about money. Even very rich people care about money, and I'm nowhere near even remotely in the same league as Warren Buffett. But I wouldn't starve if I lost the game, but I very much preferred winning.
How much money were people taking out of, like, how much would someone win in a show?
If you won $5,000, that was the most you could win. And in that case, but I would still then get a little bit of money. I'd get maybe $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000, but that's all.
But you must have had so much fun. I mean, the fun probably outweighed.
It wasn't as much fun as you might think, because it's very hard being in that booth. The way it worked was we were each in a booth with earplugs in, and we were each asked the same questions, and we had to answer 10 questions in 60 seconds. And they were hard questions. They were not easy questions. And if I lost, I would lose the whole $5,000 to the contestant, which I hated doing. I just hated it. I mean, words cannot describe how much I hated it.
But you didn't hate it enough to do 900 episodes.
No, that's right. Well, because at a certain point, I figured out I was winning something like 80% of the shows. Oh. So it was pretty much found money.
Yeah. And how did Jimmy Kimmel? Did you decide to pick him for the host? We chose
him. We auditioned for the co-host. I was the host. He was the co-host, and he was the first person we auditioned, and we just loved him. We just thought he was wonderful from day one, and he's still wonderful. He's an extraordinary genius, just an extraordinary, unbelievable genius. Really, 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 really amazing genius.
Yeah. Are you still in touch with him?
Oh, very much so. Mm-hmm. Very much so.
That's awesome. And then, from then you had a talk show?
I had a talk show for 3 seasons called Turn Ben Stein on
a non-sexual title?
Right, on Comedy Central. Mm-hmm. That was not as big a hit because I didn't have a wonderful co-host like Jimmy Kimmel. If I had, it would have lasted longer, I'm sure. And we interviewed a lot of people, a lot of famous people. You'd be amazed how many famous people will come on, even a 2-bit dinky talk show. And so we had a lot of fun with it, really, really a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed that a lot more than I enjoyed the quiz show.
Why is that?
Well, because there was nobody
taking your money.
My money if I lost. Right. So we did that. And then right after that, I did Star Search. And that was really, really easy money. It was a lot of fun. So I enjoyed that very, very, very much.
Do you want to create another show?
I sort of do and sort of don't. I mean, I do and I don't. People say to me all the time, why aren't you out there pitching to Fox News? Because I do a lot for Fox News, and you would think they would give me a show by now. And they might if I really pursued it. But I don't really feel like I have the energy to do it, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm old and I'm tired.
You look good.
Well, you're very kind to say so. You look good too. But
Thank you.
You're probably a third my age. So, let's see. I would love to do another show, but if I could do it, say starting at 3 in the afternoon and ending at 7 at night, that would be good.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to get up early. I mean, sometimes on Fox News they'll say to me, "Don't you want to be on with such and such famous person from Fox News? You have to get up at 6 a.m." No, thanks.
Is that in New York?
No, they can do it from here. Well, the headquarters is in New York, but they mostly almost everything I do is out of L.A. So there is that time difference, and time difference works against us.
Yeah, and you travel around doing speeches?
Travel around a lot, although nowhere near as much as I used to. I would think I was one of the 10 or 20 most popular speech givers in America 5 years ago, and now much, much less so. Just I think people got tired of me after a while, and they had heard me already. But I give a lot of speeches even now, and I get very, very good results from my speeches.
And who is this to? And what is this about?
Well, the last one I gave was to the Committee Against Lawsuit Abuse in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is a group that fights against frivolous lawsuits. And then I just did one right after that, somewhere where I was at, also in the South. I've forgotten where. But anyway, they're mostly the business groups, although I did one at Youngstown University in Youngstown, Ohio, and that worked out incredibly well. They had a huge audience. They told me they had more people for me than when what's his name, Anderson Cooper came around from CNN. So I was very, very happy about that.
That's awesome. What was that one about?
It was about politics and life. They wanted to know the story of my life. I mean, I have had a very unusual life story. I started out as an economist and a lawyer. I became a writer, speech writer, script writer, novelist, producer, TV star, you might say, movie star, you might say, and teacher at Pepperdine University, a teacher at American University. Just endless amounts of being an expert witness in very complex securities cases. That's really, really
Wait,
hard
what
work.
is complex security cases?
Well, complex securities, like if, for example, one of them had to do with Donald Trump. It had to do with him. He had built a whole bunch of casinos in Atlantic City, and he had defaulted on the bonds. Bonds are a way of borrowing money, and he defaulted on the borrowing. And he reorganized the company so that he paid himself back, but he didn't pay back the other bondholders.
Jesus.
I know. So it was a very bad situation. I wrote a long article about it, and for Barron's, and then I was an expert witness about it in a trial. And he got very, very angry and threatened to sue me and so forth. But he didn't. He never did sue me. The people at Barron's were just dying to have him sue so they could get discovery of his documents.
Huh.
They were dying to have him sue.
What do you think about him?
I love him.
You do?
I do. I love him. I don't.
But how long ago was that situation with him?
A long time ago. But
and you hated him then? And
I didn't hate him then. I didn't hate him. I mean, I realized you and I are on different sides of the issue, but I didn't hate him. I don't hate people, really, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
And
dislike.
I didn't even dislike him. I just realized he was a thief, but but I didn't really dislike him. There are a lot of thieves. I mean, if I had to defriend everyone who's a thief that I know, I would not have many friends. So he, no, I don't think I've ever talked to him except for those couple of talks about his bond fraud, and I think he's doing a great job as president. Not just not just a good job, but a great job.
What do you think about all the crazy stuff he says?
Some of it is crazy, but a lot of it makes a lot of sense. I think he's compared with the alternative, Hillary Rodham Clinton, who was 2 years behind me at Yale Law School, and whom I knew at Yale.
Were you a valedictorian?
I was. Did you know that already? You knew that already, right?
I just found it out like 20 minutes ago.
compared with her, I thought he was wonderful and still is wonderful. I don't think he's great compared with Nixon. Nixon was my favorite president. I think he was the best president we've ever had. And he was tortured, tormented, humiliated, and made to leave office prematurely. But he was a great, great president. He was the ultimate peacemaker.
I saw. So your dad used to work for him originally?
Yes, my father was a high official for him. I was a low official, but my father was a high official.
And then do you think you got a little nepotism job?
It wasn't a nepotism job at all, because if that had been true, I would have gotten it a lot sooner. It was a job in which I had done a lot of work defending Nixon in the media, and they said, why don't you come on board and be a speechwriter? And I had long hippie hair, long hippie hair.
Really? Oh my God, I can't even.
Long hippie hair and a long hippie mustache, and I think they said, well, we'll give him a try anyway because we trust his father, so we'll trust him. But
did he put the good word in for you? At least.
Well, no, I don't think he did. Actually, I think they just said blood is thicker than water, and his father is so loyal to Nixon. I think you can count on him to be loyal to Nixon too.
Mm-hmm. And then people I didn't know that people suspected you were deep throat.
Yeah, people wrote that I was deep throat, and that was a long time ago. I mean, this is really dredging back into the dark ages. But my next door neighbor when I was a child was the very famous journalist Carl Bernstein, and Carl and I were close friends, and have always been close friends, and so people thought I perhaps was a source for Carl.
Because you had that long time relationship,
right? But in fact, I wasn't even working at the White House at the time that Deep Throat was operating. I was a teacher, being a hippie in the woods of redwood forests of Santa Cruz. Yes.
Interesting.
I loved being in Santa Cruz, too. That was a great place.
I haven't been there.
You've never been to Santa Cruz?
I want to.
Oh, my God.
Is that near Big Sur?
It is about 100 miles north of Big Sur.
Oh.
It's unbelievably beautiful. Unbelievably. But Big Sur is even more beautiful.
I know. I really want to go there.
Big Sur. You've never been to Big Sur?
No. Have you seen Big Little Lies on HBO?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It takes place in Monterey. It's an HBO show with Nicole Kidman and...
I love Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, Meryl Streep is going to be on the new season. It's really good.
I love Nicole Kidman.
I know. She's amazing.
She is amazing. She's extremely tall.
Is she?
I think she's almost 6 feet tall, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah, I love her a lot.
She's gorgeous. Who else do you like while we're on the subject?
Well, I think you're very pretty.
Thank you.
My wife is the most beautiful woman in the world.
How is she?
She's not in good health.
She's not?
No, she hasn't been in good health for quite some time. But she has three nurses who are there all around the clock.
Oh, wow.
She has 24/7 nurses, and she gets along real well with them and laughs and scratches with them all day long and gossips and reads novels and mystery stories. And she's not, I mean, she's in pain a lot of the time, but she's quite happy. I think I might say this is the happiest she possibly has ever been in her whole life.
Aww. Every time I've ever seen her, she's so well put together.
She's a saint. She's a living, breathing goddess.
And you guys have been together for a long time.
We've been together for 52 years.
And you have a cute story.
Well, we met in July 4th of 66 at a black tie junior foreign service officers ball party at the State Department in Washington D.C. to watch the fireworks. And I was with the girl who was my college girlfriend, a very, very nice girl named Mary Just, a very, very, very nice girl. And then into the room walked my future bride on the arm of a guy I knew very slightly. Didn't know him very well, but I knew him enough to say hello, and introduced myself to him and to her, and we just started going out furiously. She already had a boyfriend.
But what did you do? If she had a guy, you had a girl, how did you connect with her behind everyone's back?
I'm a spy.
What did you do?
Well, I mean, I didn't live with the girl that was my college girlfriend. So.
Yeah, but you were on a date with someone already.
I know. Oh, you mean I said to her, hi, I'm Ben Stein. This is my girlfriend, Mary Just. What's your name? And she said, Alex Denman. And I said, where do you go to school? I said, I go to Yale Law School. Where do you go to school? And she said, I thought she was going to say the University of Mississippi because she had a very southern look about her. And she said Vassar, which is a very well-known girls' college. And I asked her what she was doing that summer, and she was working at the State Department, same building I was working in.
Whoa.
So I started going over there during the lunchtime just to say hello and flirt with her. And then I invited her out, and we had a very good time on our first date. And then I went out with her on another date, and another, and another, and another. And by the end of the summer, she was my girlfriend. And then I went off to Yale, and I got very sick at Yale. They poisoned me basically. I had some stomach problems, and they gave me some medicine that was exactly the wrong kind of medicine.
What'd they give you?
Mellaril and Trilofan.
What the fuck is that? Sorry.
It's very, very, very strong antipsychotics. Very
like lithium kind of thing?
No, not lithium is anti-manic depressive.
It's antipsychotic.
Well, it's for manic depression, but it's these are very strong antipsychotics, and I had
Why would they give you that? They give you okay.
Because they're just pure fucking incompetent jerks.
Yeah.
And they were really, really, really bad, and they did that, and so I got terribly sick. I mean, you see before you a fat old man, but I was a very, very thin man. At that time, I probably weighed half as much as I weigh now, and I was taller than I am now. I was emaciated, and I was just dying, and I dropped out of school and went home and went into thorough, deep psychotherapy.
Oh, my God. All from that medication?
Well, I don't think it would have happened without the medication, but it was very lucky that it happened. It was an incredible lucky stroke because when I came back to Yale, the whole place had changed, and it had been very strict and authoritarian. And when I came back, it was a hippie palace.
Wait, how long had you been gone for?
Just a year.
You left for an entire year?
Yes.
To go into therapy?
Go into therapy and get myself weaned off these incredibly strong drugs.
How long have you been on them for?
Couple of weeks, that's all.
And it really fucked you up that much?
It fucked me up so much.
Mentally
And physically. I could barely walk. I mean, it did something, I forget what the medical term is for it, but I could barely just shuffle along, dragging my foot behind me. It was just absolutely pathetic. I looked like the creature from A Hunchback of Notre Dame or somebody like that. I just looked awful. And this was all the incredible incompetence of the people at the Yale clinic.
Mm-hmm. And do you think, and what were you working through in therapy? Obviously, there was something else kind of going on, too.
Yeah, obviously. Well, I mean, there's so many things going on in my life. I mean,
during that time when you had to take a year off.
I have a mother.
At that time, a Jewish mother.
A Jewish mother. I have a Jewish mother. I have a Jewish father. They're no longer, neither of them is living any longer, I'm sorry to say. But I had all the problems that flesh is heir to. I mean, it's funny, I walked into my psychiatrist's office a couple of days ago. He said, "How are you?" And I said, "Well, nervous, fearful, worried." And he said, "Welcome to the human condition." That's funny. Yeah, he's a very smart guy.
Yeah, and I like that too, because I feel like so many people just victimize themselves and all that and just stay in it instead of being like, yeah, well, it is what it is.
I do sort of victimize myself. I mean,
just like sit in it.
As you may or may not know, I'm very active in 12-step programs, and we believe in accepting things and turning them over to God. So, had I known about these 12-step programs in 1966, I would have joined in them and probably not have dropped out of law school. And probably not have come back and been in a different world. And when I came back, I was so well liked, and everybody was my pal. I became valedictorian of the class, not by grades. I was nowhere near the best student in the class, not even close, not even remotely close. But I was elected. I think the first time ever the valedictorian was elected, and I was elected to give the graduation speech.
So you took the time off and came back stronger than ever.
I came back happier. Well, not stronger than ever, but determined to make a go of it. And I sort of dressed up in old army fatigues to pretend that I was in the army. And my wonderful girlfriend Alex was there with me, and we soon became engaged.
What do you think happened during that time to bring you back to that determination after such a tough year?
Well, one thing was that I was working. It was when I dropped out, I didn't just lie around the house. I was working, and I didn't like working very much.
Doing what?
I was, first of all, a writer for an economic newsletter, and then I was an economist at the U.S. Department of Commerce. And those are great jobs. They paid well. I mean, times have changed. They paid $125 a week. At the time, that seemed like a fortune.
Yeah.
And the one from the Department of Commerce had absolutely perfect medical care, so they paid for 100% of my psychiatrist. And that was all great stuff. I mean, my parents were well-to-do people, but they were not well-to-do, anywhere near well-to-do enough to pay for the for me to go to a psychiatrist without having any kind of insurance help.
What did people think of therapists back then?
It was rare to see a therapist.
Right?
It was rare. It was unusual, and I don't know anyone else who did. But I mean, this guy that I wound up seeing was way more than a therapist. I mean, he was a very, very high-powered MD psychiatrist who became very, very famous in the field of geriatric psychology. His name was Robert Bueller, and he became first head of the National Institutes of Health for the Elderly at NIH. And he was a very, very good doctor, very, very good doctor. Although I've been seeing a doctor here now for very close to 40 years.
Wow.
And I think he's the best doctor ever. And then I have a new one that I see, I've been seeing just for about a year, and I think he's extremely good too. I see 2 psychiatrists now.
Okay, so when you say psychiatrist.
MDs.
Okay, but you meet with them every week, or are you talking about a therapist?
I meet with them every week for an hour, and I talk to them about my life and problems.
No, because you know how psychiatrist prescribes medication, therapist, psychologist is the one that you sit and talk to.
They prescribe medication, but not much. I don't take a huge amount of medication.
Oh, okay, because
I take some, not a huge amount. Like here, I have.
I know. The last time you did my podcast, can I say that? The last time you did.
See it, but you can't take any.
I won't. The last time you did my podcast, you brought this.
Well, I take it with me everywhere I go. I take it everywhere I go.
It made me laugh to see you put it on the table again.
Well, I take it with me everywhere I go.
What is this?
This is medicine for my stomach, and because I have a very delicate stomach. And
so do I.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well,
I have to get tests done.
Well, if you have a very delicate stomach, I strongly recommend this medicine. It's called Paregoric. And why are you smiling at that? Do you know it already?
No, I'm happy.
It was prescribed. It's been prescribed for probably 500 years. In fact, I don't know if you are familiar with the greatest essayist in the history of the English language, Samuel Johnson, who was considered the one of the great writers in the English language. He was a Paregoric addict and drank Paregoric every day of his life. And he was the creator of the first English language dictionary. There was
Webster's?
No, he was way before Webster. There was literally no dictionary of the English language before he came along and just out of the blue wrote a dictionary with all the words, all definitions of all the words.
I think I was smiling because Paregoric sounds like a condition.
No, it's not a condition. It's great stuff, though. It's really, really good for you. And
what does it do?
It just soothes your stomach and soothes your intestines and makes them feel happy.
Ooh.
It's really good. It's really, really, really.
And do you just do a capful?
Well.
Or do you just take a swig?
I just take a swig when I feel like it. But it's very hard to get. It's very, very hard to get. And it's very, 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 very expensive.
It looks odd. How much is that bottle?
This is...
I want to win Ben Stein's Paregoric syrup.
It's over $1,000.
Shut up. Let me say that again.
What? You might take it.
I just want to hold $1,000 bottle of syrup.
I'm
not taking it. I'm sober. We're both in a 12-step program. Yeah, I'm going to hear about that, too.
Okay.
This is over $1,000.
Well, it's here. Like, it's about $600, and then I have to pay the doctor, and then I have to pay I have a girl, a young woman, older woman, who goes and gets it for me at the drugstore. So if you add it all together, it's over $1,000.
You know what I just started doing? Have you ever done hypnotherapy?
No.
It's amazing.
Really?
If you're interested in doing it, I want to give you this woman's contact who I've been meeting with. It's incredible.
I'd like to try it.
It's really, really awesome.
I'd like to try it.
It's I got into a car accident.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God, how awful.
Car totaled. Whiplash,
happened?
concussion.
What happened?
I'll tell you off air. I'm not supposed to. My lawyer. Okay, so you'll know this. My lawyer said I'm not supposed to talk about it. Is that right? I guess
I don't know.
And I don't know if it's gonna affect like.
I don't know, but if he told you not to talk about it, then don't talk about it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I could say this. He set me up with a hypnotherapist for my anxiety because I was having a lot of panic attacks.
So sorry.
Thank you. And it was it's been so awesome going to her, and I've seen her twice so far. And the last time I saw her 2 days ago, she put me one level above amnesia. And when I was done, I was so out of it. I was stumbling when I was walking.
Wow.
It was like, but then I feel it working because it's
wonderful.
It's really cool. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
But yeah, I love therapy. I always think it's so weird when I hear people say that they've never been to therapy.
Therapy is great.
A lot of older people, like my parents, have never been. That's why I was, surprised to hear you've been going for so long because,
my parents went too, and
really?
They were obviously way, way, way older than your parents, and way considerably older than I am, and so we're medically advanced family.
That's cool. I like that. And what was your mom doing when you were growing up?
My mother was a full-time nag.
Nag?
No, she was a full-time housewife. My mother was trained as an economist and had an extremely good academic record, but she mostly nagged me and my sister and my father to do things.
So you really grew up in like an academic family.
Very academic. My father was a super, super, super braino genius.
And did that influence the kind of career that you had?
Yes, very much so. I mean, I never would have considered, for example, going into the textile business or some other business. I mean, it was always assumed that I would be a professional person of some kind.
Because you watch your parents do that, and then you're like, oh, I want to grow up and be like my dad.
Right. Well, I mean, my dad seemed to me to have a great life. He got to travel first class everywhere he went.
Ooh.
And he got to
Do you travel first class?
Always. And I went to...
Will I be there?
Well...
Will I get there?
Yes, of course you will.
Thank you.
I find it hard to believe that you don't travel first class now.
I wish.
Well, you should speak to your husband about that. My wife wouldn't... If I told my wife we were going somewhere coach, she would laugh her head off.
Would she really?
Yes.
Yeah.
She wouldn't believe it.
Uh-huh.
And she would just laugh.
Yeah.
So, anyway, no, but she can't travel now anyway. But I go everywhere I go first class. Unless there's no first class, then I have to go coach. But I know.
I'm sorry.
I
Sorry you
know.
have to go through that.
I know. You get used to being in first class. It's like...
Totally.
And it's just very hard to be in anything else. But I fly a lot. I used to fly a lot from Portland to Spokane, Washington, because we have homes in North Idaho. Mm-hmm. And that's all coach. And I didn't mind it at all because everyone else was in coach too. Yeah. If there's no other, if it's all coach, it's fine to be in coach. If there's first class and then coach, I want to be in first class.
Totally.
But if it's all coach, it's fine being in coach.
Yeah. And tell me about where you have all these homes.
Okay. Well, excuse me. We have our main home is in Beverly Hills, right in the heart of Beverly Hills. And then we have a home in Malibu, and then we also own a piece of property across the street from it, which is a very large ocean view lot in Malibu. And then we have a house right down the street from where we are now at a place called the Shoreham Towers in West Hollywood. I have 2 condos on a high floor they have sweeping, spectacular views of L.A.
My friend used to have a place there. It's beautiful.
It's really nice. Yeah, it's really nice. And thank you. And then we have in Washington, D.C., we have 2 co-ops at the Watergate, both of which are quite nice, one of which is really, really nice. And in Sandpoint, Idaho, North Idaho. We have 4 homes.
4?
Yeah, because I thought at one point I might be moving there, and I wanted to make sure I had all the houses in the area so that nobody could be next to me and make noise and bother me.
Total baller move.
Total what?
Baller move.
Yes, exactly. So, so I have those, and then I think I have something else, but I've forgotten what.
I've heard Idaho is beautiful.
This place is so beautiful, it's unbelievable. It's on a huge, huge lake. It's on a huge lake called Lake Ponderay, and it's unbelievably beautiful. And the people there are very wonderful people, and it's just about my favorite place in the world.
Is that near Sun Valley?
Oh, no. It's a long, long way from Sun Valley. Sun Valley is where the very rich people go. We are just ordinary working people.
Oh. What about Hawaii?
I don't really like Hawaii that much. For one thing, it's a hell of a long flight.
Yeah.
For second thing is it's quite humid.
Yeah.
The third thing is I've been to Hawaii, I'd say 5 or 6 times.
That's it?
That's it. And I don't think I've ever had a really good meal in Hawaii.
Huh. I kind of know what you mean. I used to live there. I went to college there for 3 years.
You did where?
Yeah, on Oahu, University of Hawaii, and Chaminade.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then I finished in New York at Pace.
Very nice.
Yeah. I'm an academic as well.
Very nice.
I wish I could ask you financial questions and
you
political. I don't know any. But maybe you can give me some financial advice for a young married couple who just got married.
Well, I buy the index funds. Don't try to pick stocks. Just buy the index.
What does that mean?
It means just buy. Well, there's an index called the Standard & Poor's Industrial Index, which is all the 500 largest industrial companies in America that are publicly owned. And if you just buy that index and hold on to it for a long period of time, you'll make a great deal of money.
Really?
Yeah, but
that's an investment?
You have to hold on to it for a long time.
For how long?
Well, I'm guessing you're in your mid-20s, so if you hold on to it until you're in your mid-70s, you'll have made a great deal of money.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what you did?
Mostly, not all of it, some of it. Some of it I was lucky enough to get some shares in a very, very successful company called Berkshire Hathaway, and that has done real well for me. But I have a tiny amount of that, but it's done well for me. I have a lot of different investments. Mm-hmm. But
do you advise a lot of people?
No, I don't. I don't like to give people advice except to buy the index because I don't want to be responsible if things go bad for them.
Yeah, that would suck.
I was invited years ago by a famous casino owner to manage his stock portfolio, and I could have done it. And actually, I just for free gave him some advice. It turned out to be quite good. But I didn't want to be involved in that because I thought if it goes wrong, they might kill me like they killed Mickey Cohen.
Who is Mickey Cohen?
Famous mobster, gangster in Los Angeles.
I only know who Mo Green is in Vegas.
Mo Green is from the Purple Gang in Detroit, but he also moved to Vegas.
I just took that from The Godfather.
Yeah, that's Mo Green was from the Purple Gang, which was a Jewish. There are a lot of mobsters were Jewish. They weren't all Italian. A lot of them were Jewish, and he was a Jewish mafia guy in Detroit, and then he moved to Vegas.
Ooh, good to know.
I know. I would stay well away from them. They're probably not very nice people. If they're gangsters, they're probably not very nice people.
Right.
We want to be around people who are peaceful, calm, quiet people.
Yeah. So I want to say how you accomplish so many things.
Well, I have a lot of bills to pay. If you could see my bills.
A lot of homes.
A lot of homes. I have a son to support. I have a 30-year-old son. And
yeah.
He's...
how's he doing?
Well, he just got divorced, I'm sorry to say. He just got divorced within the last 2 weeks.
You know what? The last time you were on my podcast, I think he was getting married.
No.
No?
Well, he might have. You know something? He might have been. He might have been.
3 years ago?
No, it would have been longer than that. No, they were married for 9 years. And they have a child who's 7 or 8, and child is as cute as can be. And but they just got divorced, and it's been an ugly situation. Divorce is not a pretty situation.
Yeah.
I advise you to not get divorced if you can avoid it.
I don't have any plans to.
Don't do it.
Didn't you and Alex get divorced and then separated and then remarried?
We got separated, divorced, and remarried. And it was a very, very, very lucky move that Alex was available and took me back because she was the most wonderful person in the world. I am married to the most wonderful human being in the world. I mean, not just a good person, not just a nice wife, a literal breathing saint.
What do you think makes a good marriage?
Well, forgiveness, forgetfulness, not judging. Let's see. Not putting pressure on the other person to do anything in particular. Although, I say that, but my wife does put pressure on me to live at a certain level because, like, for example, several times I've said to her, I think we should sell the house in Beverly Hills and move to Malibu. And she said, no, I can't possibly do that. Anyway,
Why?
I think she would consider it low status to not live in Beverly Hills. So, anyway, but that's rare for her to do that. So she enjoys the lifestyle. Oh yeah. She enjoys it a lot. What's with the lot in Malibu? Well, the lot is a very beautiful lot. I bought. This is a kind of funny story. I bought it because it was for sale for many years, and one day I had my 2 dogs with me, and they were roaming around the lot, looking around and sniffing, and a real estate agent pulled up. I'm not sure how I knew he was a real estate agent, but somehow I did. And he got out, and he started showing the lot to a Korean family. And I thought, ooh, wait a second. Don't Koreans eat dogs? I thought, what if these people capture my dogs and eat them? So I said to the broker, after they left, I said, I'll buy the lot. How much is it? And I bought it.
What? That's so random, and you never did anything with it?
No, I never did.
How long ago was that?
20 years ago at least.
Okay, has that been a continuing conversation? And what are we going to do with the lot?
Do you want it, sweetheart?
Kind of. That's what I'm getting at. It's my wedding present.
That's a pretty big wedding present.
I know. I don't think I'd be able to have enough money to build something on it. I don't think I could put a porta potty on it.
Well, there's some questions to whether anyone can build on it because there's some problem with water pressure for firefighting. So I think there's some question about whether anyone can build up there. So I might have bought a pig and a poke that I can't use at all. That's entirely possible, although I don't know that I would say it's a certainty. It's possible. Anyway, it's a nice thought. If you wanted to buy something from me, I would recommend you buy one in the house in Idaho.
I don't know if I have any interest with Idaho.
It's really beautiful.
I'm sure it is.
It's really beautiful. It has beautiful, beautiful lake. You could buy a nice big boat, sail around on a lake, motorboat.
I'll Google image the area.
Okay, please do. It's about the most beautiful place I've ever been. I've been to a lot of places.
Wow. Where do you like to go to Europe?
I used to go to Europe a lot, but since my wife hasn't been well, we don't travel very much. I want to go to Thailand.
I've been.
Oh, how is it?
I went to Phuket when I was younger. We stayed at an amazing hotel, Amapuri. You know the Aman hotels?
No, I don't.
It was a gorgeous hotel. I was like 5 years old, but I do remember it.
How was it?
It was awesome. We were there for like 2 weeks.
I'd like to go there. I'd very much like to go there. I love Thai food. Hardly anyone in the whole world loves Thai food any more than I do.
Have you been to Night and Market?
No, I don't even know what it is.
It's on Sunset.
Oh, you mean Talisai?
No. Night and Market by Doheny on Sunset. There's like this new cool, it's kind of like a hipstery Thai restaurant. It's like street food, but
it's called Talisai, honey.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Are you talking about Night and Market?
It's right next to Bank of America or Citibank or Chase.
Yeah, it's right around there.
It's called Talisai Night and Market.
I don't remember the Talisai. It's known as Night and Market amongst the youth.
Well, how would I possibly know about that?
I just had to say that so I can have that one.
Okay.
So, I want to hear your Elvis story again.
A long time ago, when my father was chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors for President Nixon, I was having lunch with him at what was called the White House Mess, which was not a mess, but it was like a mess hall in the Navy. You had to be of a certain rank to eat there. You had to be of cabinet rank, and my father was of cabinet rank. And my father said to me, it was a very, very small room, not much bigger than this very, very small room we're in now. and there were just a few tables in it. And my father said to me, "Would you recognize Elvis Presley if you saw him right now?" And I said, "Of course." And he said, "Well, turn around very slowly. He's right behind you." And I said, "Well, that's impossible." And he said, "Well, have a look." So I turned around very slowly and looked, and there was Elvis Presley having lunch with Bob Haldeman, who was Nixon's chief of staff, a very high-ranking person indeed. And I was just dumbfounded, but not too dumbfounded to get up and walk over to him, which was one step. I mean, there's one small step, and say, "Mr. Presley, my name is Ben Stein. Everyone in the world is your fan, but I'm your biggest fan." And you can guess what he said.
Uh-huh.
"Thank you very much."
Did he?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know, it was great. It was absolutely great. So that was that. And then off I went back.
Was he hot?
Well, he was Elvis Presley. I think he was kind of chubby at that point. But he was great. He was Elvis Presley. I mean, he's Elvis Presley.
Didn't a movie or something just came out, Nixon and Elvis? Have you seen that?
I haven't, but I think I remember seeing about it.
Yeah, I just saw something about that.
I should get it. I'll go to Amazon this afternoon and order it.
Yeah, and then...
But bear in mind, I love Nixon. So if it's a movie that makes fun of Nixon, I'm not going to like it. I love Nixon. I don't just like him. Some people like him. He did get the largest electoral majority there's ever been in this country in the 1972 election. But I loved him. He was, to me, he walked on water.
And being a speechwriter, was it...
Well, I was one of 8 speechwriters.
Okay.
Or maybe 9, either 8 or 9.
But was there like a moment where you saw the president giving a speech that you wrote, and it's just an incredible feeling?
Yes. It was a very, very short speech. It was at what was then the new Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee, and now it's been long since knocked down and replaced by a newer one, and a newer. Then that's been knocked down and replaced by a newer one. But no, it was a thrill. And I saw Mrs. Nixon giving a speech that I had written for her, too, so that was a thrill. And many, many, many documents were submitted to Congress during Watergate that I had written and helped him with the Watergate defense. If all of his lawyers had been as devoted to him and as resourceful as I was, he would not have had to leave office. I'm sure of that.
So you think he was less devoted to you?
No, he was devoted to me, but the other lawyers were not as devoted to him as I was.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he had other lawyers, but I don't think they were very good.
Uh-huh.
They're mostly dead now, so I have no problem saying that.
What was that court story you once told me with the gun?
Well, there's several gun stories, actually. One was that we used to rent a house in Santa Cruz, California. This was long after I taught there. And there had been some prowlers in the neighborhood, so I wanted to bring a gun up. So I had a gun in my briefcase, and we went to the Burbank airport. And I said I had a gun in my suitcase. I said to the skycap, "How do I transport an unloaded gun?" And he said, "Are you sure it's unloaded?" I said, "Oh, I'm 100% sure." And he said, "Okay, well then you just take it through and tell them."
They let you?
No, they didn't let me. So I took it to the X-ray machine, and all kinds of bells and whistles started going off, and they came over and they handcuffed me and put my hands behind my back and so forth, took me away, and it was terrible. And they charged me with federal brandishing a firearm or something like that, and I had a very, 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 very smart lawyer from my class at Yale, who was a specialist in criminal law, and he got me off. And then there was another story where I used to...
He cleared your record too?
Oh yeah, cleared my record.
Did you, but wait, why were you bringing the gun on the airplane?
Because there had been prowlers near our house in Santa Cruz.
Oh, and you were traveling across...
I was traveling up from here to the San Jose airport.
So it's a long ride. Pack a gun. You didn't want to take the road trip.
Oh, it's a long drive.
Yeah.
It's a long, long drive. It's a whole day drive.
Did you get the gun back?
Yes, I did, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a respectable citizen.
Did they say you couldn't fly for a while after that?
No.
When was that?
This was long before the terrorist hijackings.
Okay.
Long before that. This was when things were peaceful and quiet here in America.
Didn't you think, though, it was kind of crazy to think you could just bring a gun on the airplane?
I used to carry a gun with me a lot of the time, and I did think
So eccentric.
Well, I'm an eccentric guy.
Yeah.
I'm a very eccentric guy.
That was a good term to use for a gun carrier,
and
right?
a Second Amendment guy. And I used to carry a gun when I went to visit my father at the White House sometimes, and I would just put it in my briefcase, and it would be empty. It wasn't loaded, and I would just walk in there, and they wouldn't even bother fluoroscoping my briefcase or anything. They knew me, and they said it's fine.
Why would you bring a gun to visit your dad at the White House?
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. I was just probably crazy.
And then
But I've never used a gun in anger.
Weren't you like in court with one or something?
No.
Don't you know what I'm talking about?
No,
told me this
I was in court and they gave me back my gun. But
no. I can't remember what it was.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I wish I could help you.
No. Don't worry about it. So you've accomplished so many things, so many different things. And what are some of the, what has kept you going? Are there any inspirational pieces of information you've picked up along the way, or just inner struggles you've had
Well, I have to pay my bills.
Okay, you've said paying the bills, but there has to be other stuff, or just,
Well, I have a lot to say. I want to say by saying, like, for example, I have my most recent discovery is that my wife is everything. Not just the most important thing, but she's everything. She's every goddamned thing in my life. She's everything important in my life. She's everything. And I want to get that message out to husbands, to explain that to their wives, that their wives are everything to them, and that this is something they should be explaining and expressing all the time. So that's what I'm working on now, and I'm trying to work that into everything I write about.
Oh. In your speeches that you're giving?
In my speeches and in my articles. I write a column for a magazine called The American Spectator. I write a column for a magazine called Newsmax. I write quite often, I write little snippets that I later talk about on Fox News. I write little snippets I later talk about for Newsmax TV. I'm occasionally, although not very often, on CNN. I'm occasionally, although not very often, on CBS Sunday Morning. And I have lots of outlets, and I just try to hammer home my message that my wifey is my big everything.
Do you have to do any research before you do all of these?
Yes, I do a lot of research online. I use my computer constantly looking things up. Like my wife and I will be lying in bed, and she'll be reading a mystery story, and I'll be looking things up, looking up statistics.
I feel like all of this is just off the top of your head, and you're just
of course it's all. Well,
no, but you know what I mean?
Well, because I'm always looking things up and looking up data. Like, I have a good idea of various things in round numbers. For example, I was talking to a young woman last night. I guess she's not that young, but she's fairly young. And I said, when was World War II? And she didn't know. Now, that to me is astounding. Do you know?
1940s?
Well, you're close. Yes. When do you think it was? From when to when?
I don't.
U.S. participation in. What was the date?
Take out a 20 so I can win Ben Stein 20 for it.
What was the date that will live in infamy?
Fuck.
No.
Okay.
It was December 7th, 1941.
Okay.
So that's when we entered World War II.
Okay.
And then World War II ended in September of 1945.
Okay, give me another quiz question.
When was the World War I?
Why are these all war questions?
Well, wars are big things. Wars are incredibly important things.
Okay, World War I.
When was World War I?
19.
Yes, you have that right. So
20?
No, you're close.
1915.
That was part of it.
1917.
1914 to 18.
Okay.
Very good. Very good. Who were the main combatants in World War
I? England?
Yes.
Red coats, blue coats?
No, it was England, France, and Russia versus Germany and Austria, and then the U.S. joined in on the side of England and France.
I'm having fun with this. Are you?
Yes.
No. Give me another one.
Okay. Well,
this is just showing what I didn't learn in school.
Okay. Who was the last president from California?
President from California?
It was the last president from California.
God. Is this surprising that I don't know this?
It's a little bit surprising.
Does it feel like, yeah. Do you look at me today and you're like, people of, like, this generation of today? Or just me?
I'm just thinking people try to put me down just because I get around. Things
Is that a song
do
lyric?
seem often cold. Hope I die before I get old. It's a song called My Generation by The Who.
Yeah. Okay, fuck. The last, I don't know.
Nixon.
Oh, your favorite. Ding,
Yes,
ding.
my favorite. Have you ever been out to the Nixon Library?
No.
It's wonderful.
Where is it?
Where is it? It's in Yorba Linda, which is not far from Anaheim. It's a long way away. You have to have a driver pretty much to go there.
I have a car. But it's preferred to have someone else drive you?
Yes, because then you can sleep the whole way there and all the way back.
Anaheim's like 40 minutes away.
No. It's like an hour and a half away.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a beautiful museum, and I recommend it. And also the Reagan Library is a wonderful place. I recommend that. But we have to stop soon because I have to go.
Okay. We can stop now if you want.
Well, God bless you. It's been a pleasure, as always.
Thank you, Ben, for coming on.
Thank you very much. It's been my great pleasure.
Bye.